call this meeting to order. The reason we're having to have it around here in this room tonight is doing early voting in the other area, and it continues in the morning instead of having to take everything down and put it back up in the morning. That's why we're meeting in this room tonight. I'd like to introduce the Board of Elections, County Board of Elections member. To my left is John Tate. I'm Jay McElroy, I'm the chairman. This is Tom Payne. And then Kelly Hopkins is our director. I expect everyone to be courteous tonight and respect each person, and I don't anticipate any problems. I have in front of me tonight a document that was sent to the file with the Beaufort County Board of Elections yesterday, and it's entitled Complaint to the Beaufort County Board of Elections, and it's signed by Adam Oneal. I want everybody to know where we're at and on the same page. So we have copied some code sections and regulations. And Kelly has made copies for everyone. So we're going to pass them out so everyone can be on the same page, because I'm going to be quoting some things here.
Let me grab a couple more of that so I can get to the board. There you go, thank you.
I didn't bring mine up.
That's just to have a copy for you. A copy for you.
This document that I have in front of me basically is asking for the removal of 3 people from working the polls this coming Tuesday. As the County Board of Elections, we have to follow the North Carolina statutes and regulations. And that's why we've passed this out so everyone can see exactly where we're at. If you'll turn over to page 950 at the bottom, where it says 950. In the middle of the page, point 0201, filing charges and adoption of procedures. Any elector may file with the chairman of any county board of elections charges against any precinct election official appointed pursuant to GS 163-41, and the County Board of Elections shall, in the hearing of such charges, adopt the same procedure as is prescribed in section 0.0100 of this chapter for hearing of charges filed with the State Board of Elections against a member of the County Board of Elections. So basically it's saying that we have to follow the same procedures that if someone had filed a complaint against one of us. All right. Now, if you will go back one page to page 949, point 0103, hearing. At such hearing, the persons preferring such charges shall appear and by affidavits, unless otherwise ordered or permitted by the board, present the evidence tending to support the charges. Such affidavits must be served on the official against whom such charges have been filed by the person filing the charges at least 3 days before the time set for the hearing thereof. I'm going to ask Adam at this point, have you served these affidavits on these officials at least 3 days prior to tonight?
No, I called Kelly Hopkins with the complaint and asked for a process.
Okay, and just yes and no, you haven't done that yet?
No.
Okay. All right. And in that case, And also, the complaint, when I read this complaint, it does not cite any negative election action by the precinct workers. Just the fact there are social and political relationships. That does not necessarily directly lead to the conclusion that the persons accused would not perform their duty as required by their oath and training. I don't have much choice, and, well, I'm going to move at this time that we dismiss this complaint as dated October 28, 2015, and that it does not comply with the mandates of the North Carolina Administrative Code, Chapters 3.0201 and .0103. Do I have a second to my motion?
May I make a comment?
No, not this time.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion among the board members?
Question.
Okay, questions being called? All in favor, let me know, say an aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, that being done, I got some more comments to make. We've looked at, I've looked at your allegations, and keep in mind that these precinct officials have yet to take or work at the polls. The complaint was filed based upon a fear that somehow these alleged relationships will harm the candidate that filed the complaint. Understand we have a voting system which tabulates votes cast in a way that humans cannot manipulate that machine. We're not talking about hand-marked ballots in a ballot box. Those days are long gone. Also, we have 3 precinct judges at the Belhaven precinct that constantly look over each other's shoulders. So reports of votes can't be changed nor ballots created. Then there are also 3 election assistants as well to monitor that process. I also assure you that all the precinct officials have been trained not to convey to any voter by word or action who a voter should vote for. There is no reason that these precinct workers would do such an improper and stupid act. Regardless, I'm informing you, all of you tonight, that prior to this complaint being filed, this board had discussed with our director to post a county board employee at the Belhaven precinct because of workload concerns and the intensity of the election. That worker will be there. His presence should send a message to all voters and candidates that this board does not take lightly its duty to make sure all elections are run fairly and impartially as per GS 163-47. We and the voters that voted Belhaven will have the expectation that the candidates and their political workers will respect the buffer zone boundaries at the precinct, which is 50 feet from the door, and will not harass or be uncivil while they perform their right to voice and show support for the candidate of their choice. Any voter or candidate that has concerns at the Belhaven precinct on election day should first report those concerns to the precinct judges for handling and determination, if and only if, after discussing the issue with the precinct judges, should a voter or candidate communicate with the county board office. As a former candidate and office holder, I think it would serve everybody's best interest if all the Belhaven candidates would spend their energy and efforts and their campaign efforts, which will end this Tuesday. This board will give the candidates and voters a fair and impartial election, but it will be up to the candidates to get their supporters out to work and vote. And more importantly, it will be the voters of Belhaven that will determine the winner of this election. Does either one of y'all have any comments y'all would like to say at this time?
Thank you for an excellent job.
Thank you, Chairman.
If nothing else, the meeting's going to be adjourned. Thank y'all.
Can I talk to you just a minute? I asked her exactly how to file. She didn't know.
Look, she can't give you legal opinion.
She can tell me what the process is. That's her job. I called her with the complaint, I told her what the complaint was, I asked her how to file it. I filled out the complaint one time, she told me to write it down and have it notarized. I wrote it down, had it notarized. Sent it to her, wasn't good enough. Then she told Hood that it needed to have an action and put removal in it. So then I did the complaint a second time, put removal in it. Had it notarized, had it sent to Washington again. Then she called me again and sent me some general statute, an email. So then I went back and said you had to have the addresses and witnesses. So I went and got all the addresses and all the witnesses of what had taken place. And then I sent that to her, and that was still not right. And then you all come in here on technicality and don't even hear what I have to say. And she's the one that put me in the position that I'm in. And that's just totally wrong. And what you've done here is sick, because you got people who have been out talking about people that are running in Belhaven's election and lying about them, and you've got them conducting the election. And they do help people. They do help people at the polls. They help people mark ballots. And what you all are doing is letting people who have shown, going door to door, passing out literature and lying about candidates in Belhaven, what you've done is let people who are doing those actions run the election in Belhaven. And it's sick. And you all didn't even hear what I had to say. And that's wrong.
You have to follow procedure.
The procedure's right there.
Procedures here.
Yeah. Well, what you all need to do is have a board of election director that knows the procedure.
Can I speak to that?
Yes,
quickly?
please.
I would like the board to know that that conversation did happen, that Mr. Oneal was very upset with me because I gave him information on something he had to do. Part of this particular statute, what he's talking about is, let's see, where was it? That it puts out the 1, 2, 3, the name, post office address, and so forth. And Mr. Oneal called me and verbally just let me have it over telling him he had to do it over again. I'll take an oath that I told him that I was trying to help him with this, and he told me that he didn't feel like it was in the intent of the law to not have this complaint filed with y'all, and that I was slowing up the process and he wanted it heard immediately. That is when I immediately emailed y'all yesterday and asked you for an emergency meeting at 6 o'clock, of which he then told me he could not make, and we worked around his schedule to do it this afternoon. He told us he could have it at 12 noon today or after 3:30. So I tried to help him. I do realize that I may have overstepped my bounds and given him legal advice. I will admit that, because I saw you kind of mention that to me. So if I need to, I hope I didn't overstep my bounds in helping him make that complaint, but for him to accuse me of keeping him from having this complaint when we had an argument because he thought I was making him do excessive amounts of work, I'll let y'all decide on whether my conduct was handled correctly or not. I'll throw myself before the board.
We're fine.
We're all fine. Thank you.